everybody. Welcome to Digging Deeper Jazz. I'm Jeff Antoniuk. Well, today I want to talk about one of my favorite things to do as I'm improvising and composing using rhythmic displacement. Of course, this is for all instruments. This is, what drummers do, but I want all of us working on this stuff. Also today, we have a new JazzWire giveaway, and we have about $600 worth of merchandise. So we have a fantastic sponsor that I want to tell you about as well. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Stick around. All right, so rhythmic displacement. What is rhythmic displacement? Sounds a little fancy. It is literally moving things around in time. If I say, hey, let's have a meeting today at noon. The meeting tomorrow is at 11 o'clock. We're displacing it in time. We're moving it in time. It's kind of that easy. So if we have a rhythm that starts on beat 1, what about if we shift it and start it somewhere else? What about if we start it on beat 2 or the end of 2? That gets pretty interesting. And now you've heard this a million times. This comes to mind. I think that's a Bob Marley tune. No, it's not. It's an old swing tune called In the Mood. Yeah. It has that little 3-note grouping, and the way it starts on different beats. It starts on beat 1, then it starts on the end of 2, and it moves around. So we've heard rhythmic displacement all over the place. Thelonious Monk liked using it. I started thinking about, the last 5 songs I've written. Every single one of them has rhythmic displacement in it. So it's a tool that many of us use, and it's one that I really love. So let's start at the beginning. So check out the first item on the sheet here. By the way, I'd love to send you this PDF. It's free. All the PDFs are always free. So just write me at diggingdeeperjazz@gmail.com, and I'll send this thing off to you. On the sheet, we see 3 simple notes. That is my brilliant idea. So now, how do we move that around in time? So what I'm going to do is set a metronome that's beeping or making a different sound on beat 1. All right, so I don't know about you, but that is the coolest thing in the world to me about how we had, in this instance, 4/4 going on, and how I could move that little melody of 3/4 notes and a quarter rest, and how I could move it around. In the first measure, I had it starting on beat 1. In the second measure, I had it starting on beat 2. In the next measure, I had those quarter notes all off the beat. I started on the end of 2, so to keep that idea the same, all the quarter notes that followed were all off beats. So this is very cool, right? How we can move things in rhythm is a big deal. So now, of course, for you to be able to pull this off yourself, that was very simple, playing the first 3 notes from a C major scale in 4/4 at an easy tempo. But to be able to manipulate the time, you have to have real control over the pulse. You have to know where beats 1, 2, 3, and 4 are. You just can't be thinking note, 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 or pulse, 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 because you're lost. You have to know where beat 1 is, where beat 2 is. And yeah, we have the technology to have our metronomes, make different sounds on beat 1 or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's about you knowing where the time is and then doing something different over top. It's a skill most of us have to learn and practice, but it's really, really worth it. So let me stop here and let me tell you about the giveaway. This is our 3rd or 4th giveaway for JazzWire. So I run the subscription website, jazzwire.net. I'm the artistic director, and this was built for adult, amateur, semi-pro students like you around the world. Hundreds of folks working from about 20 different countries now on JazzWire. And it costs just under $50 a month to be a member. So what we want to do is give away to one of you a 6-month subscription. And it includes a $75 evaluation. You send in a recording, I listen to your playing as I do to everybody on JazzWire, evaluate your playing, give you a practice plan for 6 months, and then 6 months inside the community. So that's a $375 value. This is going to be sponsored by Rovner products. So that's the ligature I'm using right here. I did the math the other day. Since 1980, I've been playing Rovner ligatures for decades and decades and decades. And so very kindly, George and Lynn are sponsoring this giveaway. And so not only that, sponsoring somebody to come into JazzWire, thanks to Rovner Products, they're going to be giving away a Van Gogh ligature. That's the one that I love. I've tried hundreds of ligatures and they really make a difference. So this ligature, I swear by at this point. They're giving away one of those and also a SpaceShield because of the environment that we're in these days. It's a fantastic shield for musicians, I think both brass and woodwind that can be used. So first prize, JazzWire subscription for 6 months. Second prize, Van Gogh ligature. Third prize, SpaceShield. Here's the thing. Whoever enters gets a 30% discount for a ligature or a clarinet barrel on their website. So we'll send you a coupon code. So if 400 of you enter, we'll do the drawing and win the first three, the other 397 of you 30% off for Rovner. So that's very, very generous of them to be providing the scholarship and you know, this fantastic stuff. So send in an email to me, your name, your city and country, because we want to know where you're from, the instrument that you play, and of course, we're going to have your email address. And I'd love to have a little note from you. What's interesting to you? What's kicking your butt? What you'd like to hear more about? It's really that. Send us an email and we will get you entered. We're going to do the drawing on, we're going to be announcing it on January 1st, Friday, January 1st. So we need to have everything in by, I think it's December 29th, 2020. Have all the entries in, just send us a quick email and you'll be entered. And everybody that sends in an email, 30% off on a Rovner product. For those of you that are not woodwind players, we're working on other great manufacturers and suppliers to sponsor upcoming giveaways. So we're working for you too. All right, let's get back to displacing rhythms. So what I did to sort of give you a sense so that you can hear this stuff, it's kind of conceptual and it's great that you can see it on paper, but we need to hear it and realize we've heard it before. So I wrote a quick little blues here. Let me play this thing down for you and I'll play it twice and see if you can hear what's going on. The first time I'm gonna let you see it on the screen, and the second time I'm gonna take it down and I want you to just listen to it and see if you can feel the effects of the rhythmic displacement. All right, so if any of you are on the Grammy committee, you know, don't forget me. I feel like that's a pretty good song. It's called the Displacement Blues. Okay, so hopefully that sounded like a decent tune, right? And I think maybe you heard this idea that kept coming back in different ways, but I moved it around in time to keep it interesting. Let's take a look at it. So that first theme are those 5 notes. They begin on beat 1. And now in the first line, that happens 3 more times, a total of 4 times. So the first time it happens on beat 1. The second time it happens on, I start the whole thing on beat 2. I shift everything later in the measure. The next time what happens? Beat 3 in the 3rd measure. And then the next time I get clever and rush it, I come in on the and of 2. I put it in an unexpected place and I change the last note or 2 of the lick to help me transition to the next harmonic place. But I've taken one idea and moved it to 4 different places in time in 4 measures. Let me play it for you with no accompaniment. So now if this is a big band tune, I can imagine the drummer or the trombone section answering, maybe something like this. Okay, so maybe a little room for a conversation in there. All right, so let's go back to the tune. In the second line, we see an idea that again starts on beat 1. And then in the following measure, second measure of the second line, I start that idea on beat 2. It's the same idea, but I start it later. I've displaced it in time. Okay, I add a little connection to it, and now we're back to the first idea in the third measure of the second line. And then there's a little extra connecting material. It's not really related to anything else in the fourth measure of the second line. Now in the third line, again, a little bit of kind of related material, which I again move and displace to beat 2. So now I've done that little trick a number of times. I've done it on every line. I start an idea in the first measure of each line on beat 1, then in the following measure, put it on beat 2. I displace it a beat late. So I've done that actually in each line here. So we could say that's part of what makes this sound like a composition. That's part of what makes this hang together. Part of what makes it sound like maybe a pro wrote this tune. Yeah, there's some organization underneath. And the last couple measures of the tune, I actually start the original idea in yet a different place on beat 4. If you look at the last 5 notes of the song, I'm starting my idea on beat 4. So I've used this little idea and I've played it on beat 1, on beat 2, on beat 3, on the and of 2, on beat 4. I think that's it. But that's 5 different places that I've taken this idea and I was able to move it to 5 different places. So here's an interesting question. How many different places could I move that idea? Well, there's 8 eighth notes in a measure, so there's at least 8 places I could start. On 1, the and of 1, 2, the and of 2, 3. So there's 8 possibilities. I used 5 of them. Interesting. But here's the thing, we can subdivide further. I can start on beat 1, I can start on the and of 1, but I can start on the second 16th of 1. I can start displacing things by a 16th note or by an 8th note triplet. So it gets pretty wild how we can start displacing things. So traditionally staying with, sort of the underlying rhythm of the song, which is 4/4 in jazz, it's 8th notes. So, typically we'd be displacing things with 8th notes. Cool. So I think you get an idea of what this is about. So like I said, this is going to take a little bit of work. So if it just sort of tickles your brain and now you understand how good music works, great. This is a really big deal. If this is something you want to work on, get a metronome that makes a different sound on beat 1, clink, boop, 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 clink, boop, right? To let you know where things are. By the way, I didn't have a metronome like that when I was learning how to do this stuff back in the Stone Age. But yeah, get working like that and get comfortable with taking a simple idea and moving it around in time. So I tell you what, I'm going to improvise a little bit on the way out. I'm going to play this etude one more time. I'm going to improvise and see if I can use some ideas, just improvise something and move it around in time and trust that I can pull something like that off. Most importantly, enter the JazzWire giveaway. I want one of you to come on and be working with us 7 days a week if you want on JazzWire. Our last winner was a great sax player from Germany. I want you to win. I'd love to give you some of these great Rovner products and of course 30% off really anything on their website. Send an email into diggingdeeperjazz@gmail.com. So let me play this tune for you one more time, do a little improvising. Have a great time with this material. Let me know if you have any questions. That's what the comment box is for on YouTube. Take care.